talking about settlement as a wicked problem. At this time, I'd like all of you guys to give Bill a warm round of applause. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. I know I'm standing between you and traffic, and everyone is anxious to go. So I'll try to be brief, but the organizers did ask me to do some summing up of today and to put some collaboration into sort of an interesting context. I just want to quickly say, for the idea of a wicked problem, wicked problems has nothing to do with whether they're good or bad problems. It's not a judgment, but it's a kind of problem that we're talking about. So there's a whole theory of problem solving, and many of you may already know this, but where problems that we face are divided up into simple, complicated, and complex. And there's quite a bit of literature on the nature of problem solving. Simple problems are fixed by solutions that are known and familiar. And this is in the realm of following best practices. And the classic example is changing a tire. That there's the right way to change a tire. It's done hundreds of thousands of times every day. And it's a simple problem, but it's a problem that if you don't fix, you can't get anywhere. So it has to be solved, and it's solved in a single way. Complicated problems need the assistance of expert knowledge and experience. There are more factors to consider, and there's more pathways to choose. And but again, these are common problems, like the classic example is building a house. Hundreds of thousands of homes are built every day all over the world. It's not like people don't know how to, but you do require expertise, and there's sort of limited ways to build them safely. So you have to use that knowledge and experience. Now, complex problems, they seek emergent and multidisciplinary solutions. So they can only be solved by collaboration. And the classic example people use is getting to the moon, the space program. You solve one problem, another problem would emerge. It's continuous problem solving. It needs multidisciplinary work, and it needs collaboration. And certainly, newcomer settlement, which we often treat as if it was a simple problem, I think is actually one of the most complex problems. Also, when you talk about complex problems, there may be no final solution, which is a series of improvements and innovations that open up new environments and new situations, and it's a process that doesn't necessarily end. And I feel that way about settlement as well. Settlement is rarely ever over, but a series of new environments that open up as people move forward. Complex problems are also often called wicked problems because it's impossible to solve them by one organization or one group acting alone. They're wicked in that they can only be solved by large and often cross-sectoral groups coming together to solve a problem. The other nature of wicked problems is that they can defy a simple definition. In the case of settlement, there's not always a universally agreed upon definition of what is a success. You need to partner with the newcomers themselves, and newcomers themselves will have different definitions of success. And that's also why it's considered an emergent problem, in that there's no agreement as to when you are finished and when the problem is finally solved. So, in general, multidisciplinary collaborations are needed for complex and wicked programs. We need larger coalitions working together. We need the public, the private, and nonprofit partnerships working together. And we need unexpected synergies, ideas from unique and unexpected places. Now today, I think I was very interested in the agenda for today's conference because I think we dealt with in our workshops 3 sectors that often perhaps the nonprofit sector wrestles with or struggles with partnering with. Partnering with universities and research institutions, partnering with the faith sector, and partnering with the private sector. It doesn't always come easy. In fact, I should say it never comes easy, but it's definitely worth doing. And so I think it was a very valuable choice from the organizers today to pick sectors that are needed to be at the table, that are sometimes excluded or left out or more challenging to work with. But without them, we're never going to be able to solve the problem. And just to close, I wanted to talk about the situation of what's actually happening in Toronto. It's a case study that I think, we'll be talking about for decades, of identifying, bringing, and settling 15,000 Syrian refugees to Canada. The very complex and complicated collaboration of government, of the private sector, the airlines, the United Nations, the identification of refugees, the bringing them here physically, the airport, the RAP agencies, the hotel industry, everywhere where they've been settled, and then as they settle, the nonprofit agencies, the landlords, the employers who are going to hire them in the private sector, the wide array of actors, the faith groups, the private sponsorship groups, those family and faith groups and cultural groups who are doing so many of the private sponsorships, the wide variety of actors that are at play in settling 15,000 Syrian refugees and hopefully more, that is probably as exciting and as challenging and as interesting as putting a man on the moon. And so I think we should all sort of take pride in the complexity and the difficulty, but also the tremendous generosity and goodwill that we're finding in Toronto and in Ontario and in Canada to do this collective project. That it is a wicked problem, and it is one that we are reaching out to more and more stakeholders to help us with. And I hope that at the end of the day, some of these new stakeholders, landlords that previously perhaps were not known for being very welcoming to newcomers, employers who perhaps are now saying that they want to hire a refugee, faith groups who have raised money and opened their doors and opened their homes, the wide array of actors who have come to the table, that we don't want them disappearing backwards afterwards, that we're going to keep them at the table to not only settle the Syrians, but the Sudanese and the Eritreans and other people from around the world who are going to be following in the next couple of years. So we need them at our tables, and I'm very pleased that Toronto Eats Lit is having this discussion around building that big table and bringing those people together. So I think you should all congratulate yourself, and it's been wonderful to spend most of the day participating and listening and hearing about the discussion. Thank you.